Hello and welcome to the Kaiju is in the Details. I'm Ian.
I'm Haru.
And this time we watched The Half Human. Again! It's not The Half Human, it's just Half Human. Haru, what did you think of the American version of this movie? You liked the first one, so you surely like this one as well, right?
No, this one doesn't have the,
Sauce.
This one doesn't have the same kind of gentle touch that the last movie had with its directing, and,
This one has the gentle touch of the old man in the movie.
Instead, this one, this one has the abrasive touch of any American who touches any Japanese film.
This is the worst that we've watched.
Yeah, I mean,
this one's a mangling.
Like, can we even call this a dub? Because
they didn't dub anything.
Yeah, it was all exposition, and every scene that involved any original clips from the original movie was all just voiceover exposition of what was happening in the scene.
I will say it did bring in a lot of silence by completely cutting out the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So it is more silent than your average American film, but it's not silent in like a, oh, we're allowing the film to be moody kind of way. It's silent in a, I'm watching a silent film kind of way until the narration comes in.
Yeah.
It really feels like, because they've added a bunch of this like stock, so they've as with a lot of the stuff I was talking about with the original Godzilla dub, they can't extricate the dialogue audio from the music audio, so they don't have any of the music. They're just using the stock music they have from whatever library they have. I don't know if this was who distributed this, so I don't know what library they're dealing with. But oh boy, whatever fucking stock library they're dealing with is one of the worst ones I've heard. These sound effects are dog shit. The music is banal.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
What the hell are they doing with the sounds of the snowman?
It's you say sounds. There's not sounds plural. There is sound singular. And it goes like, and then there's like a weird thump after it, like somebody dropped the microphone.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes over and over again. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. Look, I know John Caradine's been in some stinkers, but like, come on, man. Where to even start with this? It has all the problems of the original film, minus the beating scene, because they did cut out the beating scenes.
Yeah.
So this one's safe to watch, I guess. I don't know why you would want to.
It's safe to watch, but not in the sense that you're wasting an hour of your life.
Yeah. I get like the first film was like an hour and a half. This film is an hour long, and they cut out a significant amount more to fit in the new American scenes with John Caradine, where they kind of have the same framing device as the original movie, except much worse and American.
Yeah, they and
more ever present.
So here's one of the more immediate glaring differences between this version and the original version. Is this version is not afraid of being blunt with how racist it is. Like, just saying yes. Up front, dude, those people were savages. They
probably would have said some horrible things about the circus guys if they hadn't mostly come out of the movie.
Yeah. There was barely anything with the plot involving those guys this time around.
The Barakumen would not have been happy if they had been included more, because they would have been a super racist against them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, hell, they were racist against the very people that made the movie. Mm-hmm. Because at the very end of the film, we get this big pop-up that says, the segments of this picture depicting Japanese people and locales were written and, I said silked here? That's a typo. I don't know what it actually said there. Oopsie. I filmed, I think is what it was, and in Japan. Special credit is due the artists and technicians there who contributed much to the authenticity of this production. So the way they're writing that, they're not even like acknowledging the fact that this was a whole separate film, or like this is like it's supposed to be a dub of it. It has the same name and everything.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like they're just like, oh yeah, no, we had a Japanese film crew who wrote and directed this part. Bye. And also, they only recognized 3 of the actors.
Yeah.
They recognized a bunch of the principal like crew, but they didn't recognize any of the like minor crew or any of the actors that weren't those 3 that they credited. I don't even remember which ones they did. Takarada I saw, so they credited the main character Ogata from Godzilla, but I don't know what the other 2 were. I imagine Emiko and maybe whoever was playing the monster.
Maybe.
Or maybe the person who was playing the girl, although they severely cut back the village girl's role in the movie too.
Yeah, she kind of switched from being a relatively major character to a minor character.
Yeah, definitely. And they also switched the movie from being okay to being bad.
Yeah. Also, speaking of women, another thing that they just bluntly state in the film is the snow monster's weird attraction to like the females, like why the monster is somehow more interested in women than men. Clearly it can tell there's a distinction there that it's drawn towards for some reason.
Yeah, Yetis can sniff gender. They do this whole autopsy scene where like there's a guy who's doing an autopsy on the baby Yeti. By the way, this is before you actually find out that the baby Yeti dies, by the way. So they actually just fucking spoil that for you.
Yeah.
In their own movie. Like, what the fuck is with the order of operations in this film? They like tell you everything before it happens. Why am I watching the movie? Anyways, they do this like weird autopsy scene where then they just are like, they're just like describing a creature that is like human like. They're like, oh, sometimes it might get mad when there's things that happen, and sometimes, but otherwise it'll be like loving and kind. Yeah, dog. That's how things work.
Yeah. Also, I gotta say, when they were doing the autopsy scene, like,
that's the actual costume, by the way. They flew it in from Japan.
Ooh, neat.
On the autopsy table.
Yeah. So when I'm assuming, I don't know what he was, like some doctor scientist guy, whatever.
They barely established anything about the American parts of the movie.
Yeah, the doctor scientist guy that was examining the body, he made this comment of how like the similarities between this creature and humans, and like he was saying that like the respiratory system is like very similar to ours. The lungs are also very similar. And I'm just like, are the lungs part of the respiratory system?
Maybe just the diaphragm. Maybe they meant the diaphragm is similar, and then the lungs are similar too. Or maybe they meant the esophagus, you know?
Like this is just straight up bad writing, and they're just pretending to sound cool with it.
Oh, you want to talk about bad writing? You want to talk about bad writing? Guess what the name of the I don't know if you were paying attention to this. Guess what the name of the doctor played by John Caradine is? He's the one that was telling the story.
I was not paying attention.
His name is John.
Oh my god.
His name is John. John Caradine. Couldn't remember a name for your role or something? What's going on?
I mean, to be fair, John is a extremely stupidly common name.
That's true. But and also, why would you want to remember a fake name for this stupid ass movie?
Yeah.
Dr. John Rayburn. That's the name.
Mm.
I think the okay, I can't tell these white guys apart. I think the guy doing the autopsy might be Dr. Carl Jordan. That's his character name, so he is a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And the other two are Professor Philip Osborne and Professor Alan Templeton. Yeah, we got John Caradine, Russell Thorson, the detectives, starring Robert Taylor. That's what he's known for, apparently. Robert Karn, who's not known for anything according to Wikipedia. Alfred Hitchcock's... Oh, he was in Alfred Hitchcock Presents. That's like something. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Columbo, just like a bit player. And Morris Ankrum, who also doesn't appear to have a notable thing for Wikipedia to say, there you go. Wow, none of these movies are anything. None of these movies are anything. Fall Guy, but not the one you're thinking of.
The Fall Guys is the sequel to Fall Guy.
He was in a Lassie movie, Courage of Lassie.
Oh,
he was in Rocket Ship XM. That's one for the real heads in the audience. So that's the kind of actors we're dealing with here. The biggest name is fucking John Caradine, who's known for being in cheap movies. Like, that's the reason why he's a big name, is because he's known for being in cheap ass movies. So this was apparently picked up by Distributors Corporation of America, the most generic named company ever conceived.
That's a company name, all right.
New footage was directed by Kenneth G. Crane, who also directed Monster from Green Hill. Or Green Hell, sorry. I didn't realize there was a Green Hell. Is that where the greensmith goes? Oh, which was a double feature with Half Human. Okay.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, this would make a good drive-in movie for not paying attention to the movie.
Which is what I did during watching this movie. I did not pay attention at all. This movie was dog shit. I hated it so much. It's boring. Oh, it's literally just watching the footage from the movie we saw last week, because we had to record these back to back to catch up after I left Montreal. So we saw this last week, and now I'm seeing it again, but I can't hear any of the dialogue or like read the dialogue.
Yeah.
Subtitles. And then occasionally John Caradine just fills me in on what's going on, and I don't have to pay attention at all.
Yeah, it's another classic American audiobook.
It's fucking TikTok slop. I can watch this movie and then watch my TikToks and have a podcast in one ear and have Subway Surfers on the side. Family Guy funny moments.
I mean, like, I was literally scrolling through Reddit while watching this movie because A, I'd already seen it except for like some of the bits, and B, it was a million times less interesting the second time around.
I was just keeping an eye out for what scenes they cut out. That's literally all I was doing.
Yeah.
And until they got to the scenes that were new, and I was like, okay, lock in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like this.
I do think they did a little bit of weird editing on some of these scenes where they spliced in moments from other sections to kind of make it look like characters were in places that they weren't. Because I'm pretty sure the village lady does not show up when the guy is being rescued by the Yeti.
Yeah, I think so. Also, speaking of the editing, like there were some pretty shoddy cuts. Like you can see where the movie gets cut in some parts where they cut out the original.
You can also hear where they're having to chop up the new audio that they're piping in, because it's really abrupt fades. It's just like, and then all of a sudden the new track is playing.
Also, I want to address again with how boring this version of the film is compared to the other one. Like I mentioned in the other one, it had, like the original, it had scenes where like it used silence as in like the settled drum beats in the background to create suspense, and like that actually worked for me. And this movie didn't even fucking try at all. It was just, you know, the audio tracks were all just basic stock, whatever they could get their hands on. And the director,
like a fucking gunshot sound that comes straight out of a fucking Ricochet Rabbit cartoon. Holy shit.
yeah. And like the whoever spliced together this movie didn't really care about creating suspenseful moments, except for maybe more towards the end, when the snowman went to capture the lady. But that was maybe like the only suspenseful moment in the entire film.
Yeah. Well, that's the movie. Bye-bye, everyone. It's not good. It's not good.
No.
So like I said, all this movie is told through the same kind of like being told in hindsight kind of deal as the last movie, but of course with John Caradine telling it instead, who was not in the movie, so it's just him like saying something that happened while he was in Japan and wasn't there though. It's just like something a colleague that happened to a colleague. Like,
yeah. So I wanna touch on that too. Like, as far as American cuts of movies go, where they basically take the Japanese movie and just splice in their own recorded scenes with American actors, which I think was the only other one that we watched that. We watched Godzilla, the American cut, and we also watched Godzilla Raids Again, the American cut, right? So, like, those were the only other two American cuts of Japanese movies we watched so far. But, like, as far as American cuts go, like, at least with the other ones, they, like, especially with the original with the first Godzilla, when they made the American version of it, like, they at least tried to make it seem like their American character was actually there. And this time around, they, like, the person who's talking about his experience, or I guess maybe the experience of a colleague or something, just like, we see no evidence that he was involved in any of this at all in any way.
Yeah, it's very detached. Much like the people who made the film.
Like, genuinely, this story could just be, like, a historical recounting of this encounter that we found evidence of way back in the day, and it would be, like, the narrator's relation to the plot would be would be basically the same thing.
Yeah. This is a much different kind of approach where you need to shove in American actors for some reason, but you don't want to think too hard about doing so. Or do too much work. But in so doing, they do a lot of what are essentially flashbacks. And they're flashbacks for, again, a character that's not actually in the fucking movie. But they do the stereotypical flashback music, right? They do the fucking harp, which it's just so fucking corny. It's corny. The whole movie is corny. Add all these fucking corny ass sound effects, fucking putting this corny ass music, these corny ass actors. Fuck, dude. It's I think I'm glad we stopped doing this.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we stopped doing this kind of shit. Well, I say that. I say that, but remember how people were there was like all this buzz recently about them trying to do an American remake of Parasite.
I don't remember that actually.
There there was there's been it's been like a thing. This is like the modern version of this, right? Where it's like, oh, a film did well in Japan or Korea or whatever. We got to make an American version of it so that Americans can relate to it. Oh, the Godzilla franchise has all these movies, but what'll make Americans come to the theaters is an American Godzilla film. So we are kind of still doing it. We're just not
Yeah,
involving the footage of people from the country anymore. We're just remaking their films instead.
you make a good point there.
Yeah.
American capitalism just never changes.
American chauvinism, you know? By the way, when they were talking about the snowman groping the woman, they kept saying he was touching her tenderly. Why did he tenderly touch this girl's cheek? You know, that kind of thing. Very
Mm-hmm.
gross. Yucky ooh.
Yeah.
Also, there was like, it was not very well directed. Even, and that's saying something because it was really simple footage.
Mm-hmm.
But there was, actually, I guess it's not a bad edit, not a bad direction, because I'm 90% sure that one of the uh, scenes started a little too early because you just have the guy sitting there, and then all of a sudden he goes, and then starts talking. He's like, he breathes in and starts talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think they left in footage before they said action, or maybe they said action and then he waited a little bit before doing the like going into it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I think they fucked up there because it seemed like they added a little bit of a few extra seconds. See, I've made so many YouTube videos now that are like scripted and shit that I just see it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've got the Shinigami eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched Death Note. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of stuff
Ah.
removed from this movie, though. So much stuff removed. A decent portion of the movie, like, and just like in general, they removed like everything, almost everything at the hut. They
Yeah.
removed most of the village stuff. They removed the circus guys almost entirely until they come and kill the kid.
I mean, I was saying when we were watching the original that it was way too long.
Yeah, they certainly trimmed it down, but I don't think it was good. I
Yeah.
think they did a bad job of it.
I mean, like, I could I could probably go through and make a few cuts to the original movie and do a better job of preserving the original movie than what these guys did.
But would you do a better job of selling this Japanese movie to racist 1950s Americans?
Definitely not.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know how many people actually went to see the American cut of this film. 1957, by the way. So this movie was like running up against shit like The Deadly Mantis, 20 Million Miles to Earth, The Giant Claw, The Beginning of the End, in American theaters. Even those are all American films I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it had to contend with. So there, have that.
Mhm.
Uh, they briefly mentioned the Peking Man.
Oh
That was
yeah.
kind of funny. Yeah, because the Peking Man is a movie we're going to be watching much later. The Mighty Peking Man from 1977, so way far down the line.
Mm.
It's a Hong Kong kaiju film. Shaw
How
Brothers.
how could they reference the Peking Man when it's from 20 years later?
A mystery.
Are
Or
they
perhaps
time
it is a reference to something
travelers?
else that they're both independently referencing, which is probably just a Sasquatch, but in China.
Mm.
Because for those who don't know, Peking is just an early Americanization of, or not Americanization, but Romanization, putting it into English letters, of Beijing,
Yeah.
the capital of China.
Hmm.
So when you're looking at something like Peking duck, it's Beijing duck. It's just we haven't updated that shit for some reason.
Hmm.
I mean, it makes sense to a degree because, like, to an American, those are two entirely different words.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that, like, they're both attempting to approximate the pronunciation of a language that is tonal in nature, that is really hard to approximate in an American or in an English like format.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's written like Beijing, and most people like say Beijing. If I remember correctly, the way it's pronounced is something more akin. I'm not gonna get this perfect because I don't know Chinese, but it's more akin to like Beijing.
Hmm.
So it's more of like a ch but like somewhere between a ch and a j.
Yeah. Like that's one of the things. So I took a few. For those who don't know, my background from college is history, particularly Japanese history. Except the trouble with that was the college I went to only had one Japanese history course. And so I kind of made up for that with taking a few other East Asian history courses, which primarily was China. And we, like, there were a few, like, I took a couple courses that involved, like, I didn't actually learn any Chinese, but, like, my classmates spoke it not irregularly.
Mm-hmm.
Like one class was actually a classical Chinese course where we were like translating classical Chinese, which I did not need to know any Chinese to be able to do because
It's a separate fucking language almost.
yeah. And but like yeah, my understanding of Chinese is that no matter how you write it in English, you're gonna get it wrong.
Yeah, that's why there's like three separate like ways to transliterate to Romanize Chinese
Mm-hmm.
that we've gone through. Beijing is just part of the most modern version we have currently.
Yeah.
It used to be Peking, and then before that it was Peiping, which is just awesome. It's like so they're using so many different consonants to try and represent the same the sound. You know, ping, king, jing, ching. It's all the same.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like assuming
I've heard some people pronounce it with like a t, like a ts kind of sound too. It's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, like honestly, I could see you might get better use out of like spelling it with a ch, like Beijing.
Maybe.
Although, like, then
'Cause
people
then-
would just do that. They would just put too much emphasis on the ching instead of it just being something a little bit softer like Xing.
Yeah, I think Jing is the J is probably the best way to go right
Mhm.
now. Unless you want to go JCH, but that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, we like if you can read the phonetic alphabet, that's an option. But most people, including myself, can't read it that fluently.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to sounds that are outside your mother tongue, they're just going to be difficult no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and when it comes to Chinese too, like you have to remember, Chinese is a misnomer. We're talking about like so many different languages here,
Yeah, like
and they all use the same writing system, but they pronounce things differently.
like typically when we say Chinese, at least what this conversation is referring to, we're mainly talking about just like Mandarin,
Yeah.
or maybe Cantonese, which are
or
two
potentially
distinct.
classical Chinese.
Yeah, true. Which are all distinct languages, and even that doesn't fully encompass all the different languages that are in China because it's a big country.
It doesn't even encompass all the officially recognized languages in China, not to mention the ones where they've decided you're not actually a distinct ethnic group. You need to become Mandarin now.
Yep. You know, this kind of reminds me in a little bit of like, it's similar to like I took a Chinese religion course, which I did not remember about until just this conversation right now. But yeah, it was like a Chinese myths and religions course, and like one of the things I remember learning from that is how like there is no one like overall distinct Chinese religion, because like so much of China is really just broken down into various like settlements and villages and towns where even the next town over will worship different gods than your town does.
Yeah. Until you get like a nationalist movement that tries to homogenize everything to create a national spirit to focus their authoritarianism around. Which is what happened to Japan.
Yep.
Because Japan was the same way until, the emperor decided he needed to do things a little differently.
Yeah.
What if everyone worshipped me instead?
Ooh.
Many such cases. I gotta say, many such cases. I just look at the Happiness Church, right?
Yeah.
The Moonies. I can't believe they're finally out. And I don't think they're actually out. I think they'll just come up with a new name to work under, but it's still fun that we're finally getting rid of a lot of them from Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, like, most successful political assassination of all time, right? Like, I legitimately think that might be the case. Like, you can argue that, like, Gavrilo Princip's is the most impactful political assassination of all time. But I don't think it's the most effective political assassination of all time. Because, like, I guess it made Serbia independent eventually, but it was a rough time getting there. And then, meanwhile, fucking the Shinzo Abe assassination, that guy got everything he wanted. And he didn't even die. I think he's just in prison, right?
Yeah. Fun story. I was actually not only was I in Japan when it happened, I was in the same prefecture when it happened.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Like,
I think the funniest thing about that is that he was like a Navy guy. That's why he had the training, and the Navy is like the most fascist organization in Japan, besides the Yakuza probably. And it's just like it's not like a left-wing thing at all. He's just like really upset about the way that the Happiness Church treated his mom, and the way that the Happiness Church fucks with Japanese politics to fuck with his mom.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how much how much right-wing infighting there is, because like we don't even need to lift a finger; they'll just off each other.
It is true. We probably should lift a finger because eventually there'll be one of them left, and there won't be anyone left to kill that guy. But like. You look at the history of just Japan's fascism, like even just within Japan, these fuckers hate each other.
Yeah.
Like you had what the fuck was his name? The guy who flew his plane into like Nobushiki Kishi's house or something like that.
Yeah.
I could just type in on Google Japanese fascist plane crash. Surely that'll get me what I want.
Watch there be like 50 results.
I'm getting an Indian nationalist instead. Wrong.
Hmm.
Wrong country. I'm getting Benito Mussolini. I'm getting DC Comics. No, DC News, as in like the Washington DC, not DC Comics.
Google, you are failing at your one job.
I think it's crazy that Google's just dead, right? It's
Yeah,
insane. We we
like,
spent so long in our lives just being like, just Google it, and now it's just like dead.
like, so what did we say? Do we say AI killed Google, or do we say that Google died a little bit before that? Because, like, honestly, even before the whole AI movement, Google went from being a website where you could find your way to other websites to being a website that wants you to stay on it because of advertiser money and like basically stealing traffic from the websites that you otherwise would be going to find this information.
Okay, I found it finally. It was Mitsuyasu Maino, and he was carrying out a suicide attack on Yoshio Kodama. Both of them were just weird fascist freaks.
Mm-hmm.
But Mino hated Kodama because he was part of a Lockheed Martin bribery scandal.
You see, they find the like just they get pissed at each other over anything, like they can both be fascists, and one could be involved in like a scandal or a pyramid scheme or something that the other one is not involved in, and they just like they just end up taking care of each other.
Well, Kodama did not end up killed, but Mino died with his kamikaze attack, of course.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, Kodama's Yakuza bodyguards. See what I say saying about the Yakuza? Went out and stop the fire, and then started attacking reporters. And then the police were like, "Hey, don't excite the fucking Yakuza to attack you, reporters." And then a bunch of right-wing demonstrators came and clashed with the police. So there's just like a bunch of like several different right-wing goon factions just fighting each other in front of the house.
Oh my god.
Also, Soichiro Mino was not just known as a fascist; he was an actor, mostly in porn. So he was actually part of the pink film genre. Which is for those who don't know, pink films are a little bit more than porn. I think he was kind of in some of the lesser stuff. Yeah, he was in more as a softcore. So he was in the pink film area. I mean, they call his Romano porno. So I guess like Western style porn, I guess. No clue about that one. I don't know about that one. There's a Wikipedia article for it.
Oh.
Oh no, it's a series. Roman porno. Okay, it's just a series.
Oh.
It's a pink film with higher budget, I guess.
Neat.
Okay. Hi, Haru's mom. Glad to hear you're still listening.
Oh my god. Yeah, hi. Yeah, so when are we gonna add that onto our list of movies that we're gonna watch?
When we make a pink film podcast instead of a kaiju podcast. That's gonna be the next thing, right?
Once we run out of kaiju movies.
I'm gonna make it specifically a pink film podcast, not a JAV podcast. You gotta be careful about that.
There's a very clear distinction.
A very big difference. A very big difference. For those who don't know, JAV stands for Japanese Adult Video. It's a bit broader category. Were we talking about a movie?
I don't know.
Did
I
we watch a
forget.
movie?
I forget.
Who's John Caradine? Who is John Caradine? He's a guy who existed. He's like I said, very prolific guy.
There are
He was in
many
the
of
Twilight
him.
Zone. He was in the Beverly Hillbillies. He was in the Munsters. In a lot of stuff. Mostly as a bit player. He usually just plays like a guy who shows up once or twice. Oh, he plays Herman's boss in the Munsters. That's awesome. I hate the Munsters. I think it's a really bad show. It's like if you took all the charm out of the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, John Carradine's filmography is so big it has its own Wikipedia page that's separated by fucking decade. He has posthumous releases. That's the fucked up thing. He has some films that came out after he died.
Interesting.
Buried Alive. Jacko. Shit, dude was doing shit until the fucking late 80s.
Oh, wow. He had a long career.
Mm-hmm. He started in the 30s. Got a very distinct head shape, too. You could tell by the shape of his brow that he's an actor. No, kidding. No, but he really does. He has like I think the best way to describe it is that his face is kind of shaped like the letter T. It's long and it's kind of wide at the top, but nowhere else.
We need to describe people's faces with letters more often.
Oh, hey, he was in a movie in 1970 called Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So this is not his first. Or I guess this is his first, because this is in the 70s. So like he's been in several Sasquatch movies, it seems.
Yay.
But yeah, if you look at his filmography, it is like a lot of exploitation films.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like the early days are like these early horror films like Bride of Frankenstein, Prisoner of Shark Island.
That sounds like a fun one.
Whispering Ghosts, Captive Wild Woman, I Escaped from the Gestapo, Hitler's Madman. These were in 1943, so they didn't know. They didn't know yet. Return of the Ape Man, more monkeys. House of Frankenstein as Count Dracula. I didn't know he played Dracula. He played it in House of Dracula too, huh? I guess he'd be a fine Dracula.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in Jesse James Meets the fucking Frankenstein's Daughter or whatever the fuck. But I don't remember when that was. Oh, he was in Hell's Bloody Devils. Oh, he's just kind of a bit player. Okay, he just has a cameo almost. So it's kind of a typecast kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I guess that includes this movie, kind of.
Any movie
In a
that
way.
involves a Sasquatch or an abominable snowman or Hitler, apparently.
Yeah, except for Sallow. I don't think he was in Sallow. That's a reference for the real heads. The real heads are eating good tonight. What the fuck else? This movie's bad. Don't watch it.
There's
Literally just watch the other version. You can just watch the other version.
Yeah. There's one thing that I did forget to mention that is actually from the original version. It just didn't really click with me until my second time watching, which is like, I'm sure the movie's trying to say something with like the village that worships the snowman, and he ends up coming to destroy the village in the end. Like, I'm like, there's the movie's trying to say something about like stuff. Like it's trying to say something about probably a couple different things. Like, it on one hand, again, kind of what it's trying to say with the savagery of the, like, of the village people. And also probably something to be said about, like, worshipping false gods, or just in general making the claim that any god that you try to worship that is not prescribed to you by, like, the nationalist government is gonna come and destroy you because it's not a sanctioned god or something like that.
I guess. But I feel like this movie, because like the movie ends with like John Caradine doing a monologue about how we ended up killing these guys, but we got to do this all again so that we can learn more about human evolution. So I think this is actually kind of a based atheist pilled movie, and it's actually good now. It was kind of weird though. It was interesting from that perspective, I guess.
Yeah, it, like, that line did strike me where they're, like, they're using this encounter to try and close the gap between, like, early apes and modern humans. Like, I noticed in the opening credits, one of the guys was it an archaeologist or an anthropologist? I think it was an archaeologist. And I think that's neat.
Sure. We are digging for anything here.
Yeah, that is actively the best part of the movie. It's the fact that they're open-minded enough to have an archaeologist.
Yep. And they do not mention God. So that's pretty neat. Oh wait. Okay. One incredible line in this movie. The best line in the whole movie. So it's during the autopsy, and the guy who's doing the autopsy is like looking at the creature, and he says, "It's my belief that this species is one half," and then it gets cut off for some reason, and it's really funny. he's literally just going, "It's my belief that this species is one half," and that's it. And that's it.
We really just didn't have much to say about this movie. Considering
we got close to an hour.
Considering the fact that we went on a whole tangent for basically half the episode.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of tangents, I just randomly picked up and started reading the ingredients label on my cool blue Gatorade bottle. And, like, one of the very last ingredients...
Snowman cum? Whoa!
No, it's actually ester of rosin, except my brain mashed those words together to make estrogen. So, fun fact, blue Gatorade has estrogen in it.
Whoa, it's just like the fucking burger, the Impossible Whopper. Time to get an Impossible Whopper and a blue Gatorade. Blue Gatorade! Sorry, I'm stealing bits from Snapcube now. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here. I say it like it's not my job to get out of here. Like, I'm not the one who takes you out of here, right? Like, I'm the one trapping you here. You're in my domain.
I don't get released until you say so.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it, despite the fact that we didn't talk about the movie very much. Just listen to the last episode instead.
Honestly, you probably would have enjoyed this episode. You probably would have enjoyed this episode a lot more, considering we didn't talk that much about the movie.
I did see there was a comment on the last episode that was like, "Sorry, honey, a random YouTuber made a 1 hour long video about it, something I've never heard of before." And yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's us.
Yeah.
Well, you might have heard of the Godzilla films, but otherwise. But with that said, if you go to thempodian, you can find other episodes of this podcast and listen to them. We're on 16 now. That's a lot of episodes. Each one's like an hour long, so you got like a whole day's worth of listening. Not a full 24 hours, but you need to sleep some point.
Yeah.
You can also you like, share, subscribe, that kind of thing helps the podcast grow. And then of course, share the podcast around and find it on the apps that you want to find it on and show people around and give it reviews and all that good stuff. The things that you need to do to make sure the things that you like continue to exist. Haru, where can people find you?
I am Haru Hayes. I exist on Twitch. I exist on Blue Sky. And I exist on Discord. Those are like the main 3 places where you can find me. Blue Sky, I'm haru.vspire.live. And I stream occasionally. And if you want updates on when I stream, go follow my Blue Sky. I've been starting to put out a schedule more regularly. Some weeks I forget to, but, if it's a week when I didn't forget to, check my pinned Blue Sky post and you can see for yourself. I'm also not on 4chan because 4chan is dead.
Not that it would matter if you were, considering the nature of 4chan. And I'm Thempire Iain. You can find me at Thempire Iain, where all Thempire Ians are sold.
I like buying Thempire Ians.
I bet you do. Tomb of Thempire Iain is where you can find my VODs and Let's Plays. Thempire Iain is where you can find my main channel, which is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's Plays, video essays, and other things, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Lestral sometimes. And then Thempodian is, of course, where you can find this podcast and any others that I happen to do in the future. I'm also doing stuff on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming there more often, including doing movie streams. I know you guys like movies. You're on a movie podcast. So if you like watching movies and making fun of them, public domain films, because Twitch would not allow me to stream otherwise. They actually kind of do, but don't tell anyone. You can check me out on Twitch.
Something tells me that Ian likes movies.
I do like movies. I need to watch more of them. I don't watch nearly as much movies as I like movies. So the ratio that I like movies versus the amount that I watch movies is way out of whack. But that's because I never have time to sit down and watch a movie. Mm-hmm. I feel like, unless I'm doing it for content.
Content.
We love content, don't we, folks? We love to consume and drink deep. Drink deep and descend. I think that's it from us.
Yep.
I think it's time to say goodbye to the snowman. They just call it a snowman in this movie. They didn't call him the abominable snowman. They didn't mention the Mountain Lord title either. They just say the snowman.
Yep.
Which makes me think of fucking
Frosty.
The Jack Frost movies, with the killer snowman.
Oh. Yeah, no, it just made me think of like Frosty the Snowman, but with a corncob pipe and a button nose.
Very different cultural references, I think. Sayonara, Snowman.
Sayonara, Snowman.
This movie gave us nothing. I don't have anything.